one day the glimpse of stalking was the dawn of something shocking. Now heaven knows anything goes.
Wait, hold on. Anything goes? Isn't that what's been happening in America for some time now? I think more and more Americans are waking up to this absurdity, and it shows by the overwhelming response we're getting with new volunteers. We hear and see you believe COS is the solution, as big as the problem. So thank you, and let's keep growing this grassroots army. Our vision is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists, and our mission statement is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So, if you've had enough of anything goes, join us every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, will show you how we can actually make a difference by using the Constitution to save the Constitution and our country. So join us now for Indiana Live!
Well, good evening, everyone. Sorry for that little lapse in time there. This is a new introduction I was working on, and I'm going to have to work on it a little bit more. I was supposed to pop up on the screen there as soon as Maringo Mike finished his introduction, but didn't work out that way. Anyway, I'll work on that, get that lined up for us on the next time. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for the great success that we've enjoyed from our June 28th roundtable meeting. It's just been a very, very overwhelming success. So once again, thank you for your support on that meeting. And please make note, we're going to be doing this every month. On the fourth Monday of the month, we're going to devote the entire COS Indiana Live broadcast to a roundtable meeting format. And our next one is going to be July 26th. That's the fourth Monday in July. So that evening, we will be devoting the whole broadcast to our next roundtable meeting. But in the meantime, thank you very much for your support. Also want to mention to you that we are live streaming our broadcast on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana Live. And so you have an alternative way to view our broadcast now. Of course, the main broadcast comes to you through our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. But as I just mentioned, we're also live streaming on YouTube. Now, if you are a viewer on YouTube watching our broadcast, be sure, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and become a subscriber to our YouTube channel. So again, that is an alternative way of viewing our broadcast. And we're going to be talking more about the YouTube channel as we go further along in the broadcast this evening. It has much more information, much more purpose behind it other than just an alternative live streaming option for you. Now, also want to mention again, a couple months ago, we started offering the audio portion of our broadcast in the form of a podcast, COS Indiana Live podcast. So once again, it's the audio portion of our broadcast. And you can find that podcast at anchor.fm/Dale-Parish and the number 8. Once again, that's anchor.fm/Dale-Parish and the number 8. That's where you can find the podcast. All right. Let me just briefly go through the segments of our broadcast this evening. Now, we've had a little change in plans this evening. We originally had planned our new regional director, Brenda Carlin, was supposed to be in our first segment, be in the interview segment, but couldn't get Brenda lined up for this evening's broadcast. So I have a treat for you this evening. I've been wanting to do this for some time, and so when this opportunity arose, I thought, well, we'll just get it done right now. We're going to have for you this evening in this first segment, we're going to have our state newsletter team come on, Ken Kashuba and Susan Lyon. I'm going to bring them on, and we're going to bring up, this is something new for us too, we're going to bring up the state newsletter, the July edition, and kind of run through that with you, give you some background information on it, because folks, we are very, very excited about our newsletter and very proud of the professional look that our newsletter has. And I think you will understand why we're so proud when we talk about this and go through it and give you the lowdown on it. So that's going to be in our first segment, in the interview segment. Now in the second segment, this is where I bring up my PowerPoint and we go through and give you some general information about Convention of States, as well as Convention of States here in Indiana. Give you a little peek as to what we have planned for our next broadcast, next Monday, the 19th. So that'll be in the information segment. Now in the third segment, I like to take a break and check on any of the viewer comments that we have accumulated to that point in time. Now, also, if we might check on viewer comments during the interview segment too, because sometimes we have comments directed at the individuals being interviewed. But otherwise, we will, in the third segment, we'll stop and look at the various viewer comments that we have remaining. Now, in the fourth segment, I call this the contributor segment. We have identified in our organization here in Indiana certain individuals that we have tagged as COS Indiana Live contributors. These are individuals that are kind of maybe have strong beliefs, opinionated, I might say. So I've asked them to prepare pre-recorded brief segments. And so we call them contributors. So tonight we have one of our regulars, John Ackerman, another segment from another contribution, I should say, from John, and we call his John's Journal. So I got another one tonight from John Ackerman. All right. In our final segment, then I call this the invitation segment, and in this segment we'll wrap things up this evening, and then I'm going to invite you to join Convention of States, and I'm going to tell you how to go about doing that, and really invite you. If you're not a supporter in our family here in Convention of States here in Indiana, we want you to join us. So in that final segment, we're going to invite you to come in. So that's what we're going to be doing. Those are the segments for this evening. Now, without further ado, I want to bring up our state newsletter team here. And first of all, we'll bring up Susan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Dale.
Good to have you tonight, Susan.
Thank you.
And then we have our state communications coordinator, Ken Kashuba. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Susan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I told them that when I bring them on here like this, we're supposed to pretend like we haven't seen each other in a long time. So that's why we try our best to do that anyway. So Susan and Ken, there are more people involved, obviously, in creating this newsletter, but these are two of the main individuals involved, Ken and Susan. So before we get started into the newsletter itself, I always like when I bring on leadership individuals like this, I always ask them to give us their COS story. So Susan, why don't you lead off and tell us briefly the how, when, where you got involved in Convention of States.
Well, I think it's been over a year ago. I already had voted and I wrote to my representatives, but the first impeachment of Donald Trump, the whole process of it seemed contrived to me. It was like a three-ring circus, and I was pretty upset about it with Congress. And so I was thinking, what more can I do? And we need some term limits to get, Congress under control. And I don't know if I ran across it through Mark Levin or Hannity or what, but because they sponsor Convention of States, but I ran across the website and went, and I liked everything I was seeing. It was right in line with what I wanted to be involved with. So this was a way to get involved and do more.
All right. Yeah, so many. I think we ran into so many people that asking the very same question: what more can I do? What else is there? What else is there that I can do? So, Convention of States, the solution is as big as the problem. That's right. All right, Ken, how about you?
Well, Dale, for me, it was really late 2015 when we were leading up to the 2016 election. I was really realizing that, I've been doing my civil duty election after election, local election after local election, going in and pulling the levers for the people that I wanted to see get in there. And it seemed to me that no matter who got in, we had a replay of what was going on. We had this standoff between the Congress, and nothing ever got done. And so for me, as we led into the 2016 election, I got really fully disgusted, I think was the word that comes to mind, with the obvious to me was the corruption that was going on. And I looked at how else I was looking for another way to solve that, and term limits for me was again one of the triggers, because I realized that as I looked over the court of the list of people that were in Congress and in the Senate, and I'm seeing 40, 50 years of these people that have been just, I don't know what else they did during their lifetime. So I thought to myself, this is not what the founders had in mind. It was supposed to come in, serve, do your thing, and get out. go back to a civilian life.
Right.
And I was noticing more and more politicians coming in, staying around 30, 40 years, and then heading out with more money than some of our most people that have spent their lives in business were making. So to me that was the key. And so I saw some things on Facebook. I started reading up a little bit and catching up with Mark Levin. Obviously, that's a name that comes up a lot. But when I started reading what Levin had to say, it was like, this is it. I've got to get involved. I wanted to do something so that, 10 years, 15 years down the road, I'm not looking at my grandchildren saying, I sat back and did nothing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think many of us, I was certainly influenced by Mark Levin. And I think many of us, especially back in that time frame, Ken, when you came in, that's the time frame many of us came in. But Mark Levin was quite an influence at that time. So, all right. Guys, we didn't have a newsletter for a long time. We talked about creating one. We wanted to create one. We knew that there was a need for this type of thing. So tell me, what do you, in your opinion, what was the purpose of creating this newsletter? What do you think was the purpose behind doing a newsletter finally?
Well, Dale, I think the purpose that I saw was to be able to not only communicate and be able to stay in touch with all the people that were volunteers and part of our organization, but I saw as what one of our main purposes of our past state duties is to grow the grassroots. So I saw the newsletter as an opportunity not only to communicate within those that are volunteers, but to be able to reach out and inform people that maybe were coming in to kick some tires and see what Convention States was all about.
How about you, Susan? Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Well, actually, a newsletter is a good way for people to share with their friends if they have someone that they want to talk, to about Convention of States. It's got a lot of interesting articles and things that more information that they can share, as well as the website, the COS website. So I think it's a real useful tool that people can forward to their friends. I've forwarded our newsletter to people in other states.
Yeah.
It's helping them get involved with COS in their own state, like Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah.
I have guys that like to get our newsletter. So
good. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about how we're doing as far as distributing that newsletter now. Now, Susan, am I correct that you've done newsletters for other organizations?
Yeah, we do it for our business and for our philosophy group that meets on Wednesday night. So it's something that we were familiar with using that program.
Okay.
So when we talk, that's how I guess we got into the volunteer mode on the newsletter.
All right. Great. Well, I know you two are the main people involved in it, but there are others involved. Am I right? So let's take a little moment here to recognize other people that are involved in creating this newsletter. So, Ken, you want to start off, or who wants to start off?
I think I just want to pick up on what Susan said. She said that she had some experience there, so she volunteered. That's what we do when people come in and we're looking for things to contribute and to be able to get involved, roll up their sleeves and pitch in, make this thing, successful. So when Susan volunteered, we had struggled, Dale, I know you're aware, I had struggled on my own, working with our national team and trying to get a formatted newsletter. Of course, we it's too much to go into to talk about some of the things that we struggle with there as far as.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
We won't get into that. But when we came along, when it came along that we had another format that obviously Susan was familiar with, and I had some familiarity with it as well. It was like, okay, we've got to start here. And of course, Susan does a lot of the legwork, a lot of the heavy lifting as far as putting the segments together and inserting all the different things that come in. So our team started to grow. Susan and I started working on it, and then of course we brought on a couple of content writers, Michael Walker, who is also our media liaison, and Lyndon Malsick are two of our main content writers, and they've kind of developed over time, their own style of writing, and we invite them to not only talk about, some of the hot topics, but some of the things that, again, they have maybe their own opinions on. So The team has grown, and it truly is a team effort. We have other people that help us, Susan's husband, Rick, is our event coordinator. He's also part of our comms team. So the whole thing starts to come together when you start looking at events that are coming ahead in the month in the Indiana. And of course, we cover things that have gone by, like our Independence Day. And we'll get to talk a little bit about that when you bring the newsletter up. But
right.
I think that's the overview. Is it is truly a team effort. So, Susan, from your point of view, how did you see the newsletter coming together?
Well, first of all, the newsletter, there's so much going on right now that the issues, there is so much that we can write about and content that we can share. So I go through each month, I save things to kind of plug into those spots, where we have a really full content, I think. And Tim Heidenreich, he always contributes for our prayer contact.
He's kind of the state prayer contact person, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And one of the things that I really related to with COS is their aspirational goal is to spiritually and politically transform the nation. And I love that. It's checks the boxes for me. So Tim is really good about contributing something every month for that section too. So One Nation Under God, he takes care of that for us too.
All right, good. And I know that I think as the newsletter becomes more and more successful, we're going to get more and more people wanting to contribute to it. The state call that I do every month. I do the same thing. I save tidbits. I save little things. I put them in a file, digitally. And so when it comes time to prepare for the state call, then I've got material, and it's just a matter of organizing it. And so I guess you're doing pretty much the same thing. Okay, let's get now into the actual newsletter. Let's hope this works okay, guys. All right, here is a view of the July newsletter. And before we get into the different segments of the newsletter, let's talk about just a little bit about how we're distributing this newsletter now, because we've just made some changes. Am I right? Just starting recently. Ken, you want to start off on that?
Yeah, very recently, Dale. I mean, we've been looking as the newsletter has come along. We've been looking for ways to, as Susan alluded to earlier, be able to share it, be able to get it out to other people, even other states, as we talked about, because part of our responsibility as a pass state is to help the on-pass states. So we were looking for ways to distribute this. So actually, one of our content writers, Linda Mausick, had in a meeting we had one night said, "Hey, we're emailing this out as an email tool every month. How about let's can't we share it on Facebook?" So the light bulbs started going off, and I got thinking, well, yeah, why haven't we done that? So we started working on getting it to the Facebook. And of course, it was a little bit of a trial and error as to how to get it there and how to best distribute it that way. But the whole thing came about to be able to start on Facebook, so that we could people on Facebook can not only share it, but then the link that we use to post it on the Facebook, we are now planning to expand that and move it into other platforms, which obviously we are moving rapidly into being able to utilize the other platforms because I mean, so many people at this point, there's a lot of people that get it through Facebook, but let's be honest, a lot of people are leaving Facebook too. So we want to be able to catch all those formats. So yeah, we're expanding it that way.
That's right. Now, Susan, I know you said you share this with people out of state as well.
Yes, I do. There are a lot of people who really want to see change, and especially term limits. And so I've introduced the Convention of States project with them through the newsletter.
Okay. Yeah. Just on that same note of sharing, after every broadcast, I'll be sharing the recording of this broadcast with my personal Facebook page. I also share it on Twitter, also on LinkedIn, Parler, Rumble. So there are many other platforms that I share the recording of the broadcast, and I'm now going to start sharing the newsletter to these other platforms as well. So I think this is really going to it's going to help us a great deal. I don't know how else to say it, quite honestly. Okay, let's go. Let's kind of thumb through it a little bit here, and we'll kind of look at some different segments of the newsletter and see what your comments are. And of course, this is the front page, right? First page.
Right. And I'll just start off, and I'm going to turn over the segments to Susan to comment on, because basically she's the one who obviously lays this out every month. Dale, as you know, with your broadcast and everything else in media, a consistent and a recognizable element is crucial. So one of the things we wanted to do when we started the newsletter was to have not only something that was identifiable within our state, but something that we could build on and use month after month. So as you can see from the front page, obviously the racing flags, Indianapolis 500. I mean, you can't pick a bigger event to associate with. So that's really where we start off every month. So that's an easy segment for Susan to fill. But then we get into state news, and as you can see, this was July, so we started off with Independence Day. But Susan, if you want to tell them how these segments as we move through them, how we put that together, I think
I might mention the number here, 57,319 Indiana strong. I mean that little piece of information comes from our the state call that I do every month, and because we track the number of supporters here in Indiana. I'm sorry, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, that's right, Dale. We do. We wait for your state call to get the final numbers on that and how the teams are doing in each region. I want to say one little fun thing about this. Our past number is number 6, and the number 6 car won in the 500 this year, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had his picture on our calendar last month after the race in June.
That's interesting. Okay, good point. All right.
And so we do a calendar of events, the upcoming events, and all of these are linked to our Team Up calendar. So anyone that wants to know more about the event can click on the calendar and go right to the event to get the details.
Good, great.
And so for the instance on this one, we had a parade planned for July 4th. So we had the map up, and there was also a live link to go to find out more information about all of the activities for the day and where to meet and all of that.
And that parade, by the way, was a great success from what I understand, and we were well received in that parade. I'm told. Okay.
And you were there, right? And my husband was there.
I was there with with Sue's husband Rick, and with the parade was well attended, and we handed out just tons of material. We had people that were coming up and looking for what we had to hand out. They had an interest in what our signage was all about, and what Convention of States is all about. So term limits, federal overreach, and fiscal responsibility were areas that people recognized and wanted more information. We even handed out pocket constitutions so that people could actually read the Constitution if they'd never done it before. We had kids in line that wanted to take material we had. So we encouraged them to take it into school. But the parade was a success. And as Susan has said, the nice thing about that is it showed the route, and it basically gave all the volunteers and other people instructions on where to meet and how to get there. Yep.
Okay, we're running close on time here, so we need to kind of move along. Who's this handsome guy on page 3 here? Do you know him?
He's our state director.
Yeah.
He's the bomb, and he's got the Monday night shows, the live broadcasts, which we're part of tonight.
Right.
We always try to highlight upcoming guests, and the 4th Monday is always the roundtable.
That's right.
We have one coming up in July, on the 26th.
July 26th. That's right. Okay.
And then we go to past events. They're always a success, and the people who host the events usually turn in images, that I can put in, give a little, blurb about what happened, how many people signed the petition, and anything they want to contribute, we always feature.
Sure.
And, there's a thing there. Mark Meckler was up in Lansing, so as part of a past day, we went up and helped hand out things to get them to get it through their legislation. So
okay, all right, good.
And then we have a section always to honor our volunteers, and we had Patriot Pins awarded this month to 2 different ladies who were active.
Right.
And then a new award that you had come up with for self-governance. And this month we featured our Dr. Dan Stock.
Right.
Did a clinic on the COVID virus and vaccines. And then we have Marengo Mike, which is
Bring Mike.
Ken's baby. Ken, do you want to talk about Marengo Mike?
Yeah, sure. We can do him briefly. Marengo, I'm sure people that have been around a while know that we came up with the idea of Marengo to kind of bring a little bit of lively and animated type cartoon fun to our newsletter and to other things that we were doing in the state. So Marengo basically is, just so people know, Marengo Cave is located way down on the southern end of Indiana, and it's a beautiful cave system down there. But we wanted to have something that associated Indiana with the character. So Marengo kind of came from the caves and has basically learned about the Convention of States and volunteered and now he's even dressed in a tuxedo. So he's really come a long way and helps out wherever he can with our Convention of States.
All right, good deal. We're gonna have to push through here, guys.
Yep.
Okay. We always have our legislative report, and I try to gather news from Paul Phillips.
All right.
And then the volunteers, we recognize the new volunteers.
Okay.
And I always try to put something interesting in there from the past. This month it was something about did you know that George Washington was considered to be bulletproof? So there was a video in there about that.
Oh, all right, cool.
They really did believe that. And then the ideals of self-governance, we always try to put something in there. Especially for 4th of July, we recognize the veterans, and then we get to the opinion section.
All right.
We're right here.
All right. Cool. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I want to wrap this up by recognizing that our newsletter has become so good that you got some national recognition. Am I right? From the national organization of Convention of States. So, that's right. Susan, you want to, or Ken, tell us about what did that look like?
Well, I got a call from national. Garrett Humbertson and a few of the other people that work in national, and they were seeing what we were doing with our calendar, and they started to get inquiries from other states. So basically they had me on one night to basically talk about our newsletter, how we do it, how we put it together, what our thoughts are in doing it. And they basically wanted us to put out a base template for it so that other states can start using our format to create their own state newsletters. So it was kind of neat to be able to have, national recognize what we were doing and realize that other states could benefit from what we did.
All right. Good. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about our state newsletter. It's something I believe that we can be very proud of, and I know it's just going to get better and better. So I want to once again thank you for your efforts at making this such a great representative piece of Indiana, and I believe with this new distribution, Ken and Susan, that we're even going to get more and more recognition, and hopefully, the whole purpose of this is to grow the grassroots. So everything helps out in growing the grassroots. So I'm sure this is going to play its role as well. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Ken and Susan. Well, we went a little long in that segment this evening, folks. So I'm going to move on here, and we'll go on into the next segments, segment 2, and I'm going to bring up our PowerPoint, and I'm going to kind of go through this a little quicker than normal, but hopefully we won't miss very much of it. So our national vision statement is the same in Indiana here, is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Our mission statement here in Indiana is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So that's what we're trying to achieve here in Indiana. We set forth in 2021, we set forth some mission objectives for us to try and achieve. I won't go through these individually, but basically it's growing the grassroots, getting more region captains in place, more district captains in place, developing call to action program, education program. So these are all objectives that we're trying to accomplish, and it looks like we're going to accomplish all these before the year is out. As a matter of fact, we're going to be very shortly, in the next couple months, we're going to be looking at objectives for 2022. So we're already beginning to look ahead a year. Resources that we have available to us here in Indiana, we just have a wealth of resources available to us. The main one is our national website, conventionofstates.com, a wealth of information on this national website. We'll be talking about that a little bit more as we move on. Now, embedded in that website is our state webpage, conventionofstates.com/Indiana. Social media platforms, the main platform is Facebook, our state Facebook page, Convention of States, Indiana. YouTube channel, we've already talked about that somewhat. That's where we're live streaming the broadcast, but also it's an educational resource. We have narrated PowerPoints on there. We have recordings of our broadcasts. We have links to a couple podcasts that we conduct here in the state. We're also sharing the recordings of our broadcasts we're on Parler. We're now on Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all these platforms that we now share the recording of this broadcast. So we're getting it out. We're getting the information out. And as Ken and Susan just mentioned, we're now also sharing our state newsletter, not only on Facebook, our state Facebook page, but we're now going to be sharing to all the different social media platforms that we share our broadcast recordings to. So we're going to be expanding our reach and trying to grow the grassroots here in Indiana. Quickly, some upcoming events, and I probably don't have them all here. I would refer you to our state newsletter in the upcoming events section, but just a few that I'm aware of to mention. We've got a meet and greet going on at the Hancock County Library in Greenfield this Saturday. We got the Peru Circus City Festival coming up here. Apparently, this is going to be starting later this week. We're going to have an information table there. Allen County Fair in Fort Wayne, the end of this month, we'll have an information table there. And as we have mentioned already, we're going to be, our next roundtable meeting will be on July 26th. And that will be a roundtable meeting where we will devote the COS Indiana Live broadcast totally to that roundtable meeting. So those are some upcoming events to make note of. Next broadcast will be next Monday, July 19th, and we're going to have our newest region captain as a guest that evening, Vicki Fisher. And Vicki is the new region captain for Region 7. Now, Region 7 is basically Indianapolis. It's the smallest region geographically, but has the most districts. So it's obviously a very heavily populated area. But Vicki is our new region captain there in Region 7. So thanks, Vicki, for coming on, and we will be having her on as our guest next Monday evening, the 19th, in our first segment in the interview segment. All right, let me see if I didn't see very many comments this evening in this segment, but I do want to show this one. Matthew Zale, thanks from Scranton, Pennsylvania. So Matthew, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. Thank you for joining us. That's very, very nice of you to join us this evening. All right, let's move on now then to our contributor segment. And in this segment, I want to bring up our John Ackerman, who does John's Journal. So this is our segment, the contributor segment. So here we go.
John Ackerman here for Convention of States, Indiana. You know, I'm a conservative through and through, heart and soul, body and mind, conservative. And I believe in the power of diversity. It used to be the other way around. Only liberals believed in diversity, but conservatives do. We really do. Today's radical left wants everybody to think alike. They don't believe in diversity. But you know, I believe in God. I believe that God created the heavens and the earth. And on the seventh day, well, at the end of the sixth day of creation, God looked upon all that he had created and he said, it is very good. And God had created a very diverse world. There are multitudes of differences in this great world of ours that our Lord created. And I say to you that it's not our differences that divide us. We're divided because of our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. God is a diverse God. In fact, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, three persons, one God. And we must recognize and celebrate the differences that God created in each one of us.
Well, I had myself muted there. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I didn't have the volume up on John's Journal there at the very beginning, but hopefully I got it turned up in time for you to hear most of it. Well, let's move on then to our final segment, which is the invitation segment, and got another little short video for you here that I think introduces the segment very well.
Talk about Congress. Hey, Congress is full of people who don't know what the hell they're doing, but want to control your lives.
The longer they stay in, the more connected they become to special interests, and special interests are destroying our nation.
They give each other what they want, and they stick the taxpayer with the bill.
What's going to happen to the millennials? Unfunded liabilities plus debt now is $144 trillion.
Politicians come in and say they're going to change it, and they never, ever do.
We're not going to surrender the greatest country on the face of the earth and turn it into another failed European experiment.
The question is today, will we use the Constitution to save the Constitution?
Our framers in particular foresaw that this day would come.
The Peach State is making history. Lawmakers passed a preliminary measure today for a convention of states.
The Missouri House passed a measure calling for a convention of states.
The Convention of States.
The Article 5 Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of States.
Convention of the States.
How does a Convention of States?
Convention of the States.
The Convention of States.
Convention of States.
For the States Project.
Mark Meckler. Now you run a group trying to build a movement. You're saying the work is being done across this country to get to that 34-state threshold, and whether Washington wants it or not, the people hold a convention to limit the powers of the federal government.
It's right there in Article 5.
Article 5 of the Constitution was included by the founders for this exact time.
Where Washington would so depart from our principles
that only we, the people, could cut it down to size. So I think it may well take a convention to wake them up.
I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
The Convention of the States empowers the people of America to get some things done that they've long wanted.
By using Article 5 of the Constitution, we can pursue reforms such as a balanced budget amendment.
It's term limits on Congress, term limits on judges, and a balanced budget amendment for America.
It's becoming 11th state to call for a convention to limit federal government power.
The Arkansas House passed a resolution that calls for a convention of states.
30 states, Steve, 30 have either passed it in their state legislature or are actively considering it. So there is a pathway to that number.
This literally nothing like this has been done in American history.
If you want to put government back in check, it's only going to be us, the people, do it.
And so this is the last chance I think we, the people, have to get back in the control of the constitutional reins of our republic.
Inspire them to make sure that we pass on a better America.
That is the next revolution we need.
No, we have to do this.
Governor Greg Abbott is calling for more states to get on board with a push for a convention of states.
Tomorrow we're going to work to make sure that we add the 13th, 14th, 15th, all the way up to the 34th state.
A year, 10 years, 100 years, whatever it takes.
If the federal government won't do it, then we will.
Go to conventionofstates.com, press the button, sign the petition. More importantly, get 10 of your friends to do the same. When you sign the petition, then that sends a letter to your state legislator. You go on the list in their district as a supporter. We deliver those lists to the state legislators. It means something to them.
All right, thanks everyone. I always like to play that video. I think it just kind of sums up what we're trying to do, and I just want to add one other thing to what we're trying to say here. Let me get the right view. There you go. We want you to get involved, and if you have an interest in becoming a supporter of Convention of States, not only here in Indiana, but nationally, Convention of States supporter, a very, very important step I might mention. Go to our national website, conventionofstates.com, open an account, sign the petition. That makes you a supporter right there. Now, if you have some time and if you have the motivation to get further involved in Convention of States here in Indiana, then click on the menu selection at the top of the website, the menu selection called Take Action. Go to that page, scroll down to where it says Become a Leader, and look at the different volunteer opportunities that we have available here in Indiana. I might call your attention to that position of district captain. Now, this is a very, very key position here in Convention of States, not only in Indiana, but across the nation, quite honestly. In Indiana, we are organized around House districts, and there are 100 of those districts here in the state of Indiana. So someday, we would like to have a district captain in each one of those districts. We're just now a little over 40. So we're still building the network. So that's a key position, that of district captain. But they're all important positions. So, and they require different levels of time. So you're the only one that knows how much time you have to devote to Convention of States. But I would strongly urge you to take a look at those various positions and see if there's one of interest to you. Open it up, read about it. If you're very interested, go ahead and make application. Don't worry, you're not obligated in any way. But that will enable then one of us to make contact with you to further discuss that particular position with you. So, folks, that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I want you to leave you with one thought here, if I can, and that is, when you become a supporter of Convention of States and when you join this movement, folks, we're going to make history, because this is all about calling a Convention of States according to Article 5 of our Constitution. We're not making this up. It's right in Article 5 of our Constitution. Calling a Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution. So, it's never been done before, and when we make this happen, which we will, we're going to make history. So I'm asking you to not only join us here in Indiana in Convention of States, but join us while we make history. So with that, folks, I want to say good night to you and thank you all. Sorry we went a little bit over time tonight, but hopefully you will feel that it was worth it. So once again, I'll say good night and look for us again next Monday evening on the 19th at 7 p.m. So with that, I'll say good night, everyone. Have a good evening. Good night.